Welcome to my channel. This is Mario Lord, also known as Real Estate Guru PK. On this channel, we talk about my real estate endeavors. We also have the top real estate producers and the top entrepreneurs in the country. Be sure to click the link below with Justin P with his Support Black Colleges marketing course. Also with Jason White's Crack the Code affiliate link, click that below as well. Also to support the channel, Webull, M1 Finance, Chase, Discover, Robinhood, and Public, a stock trading app. We hope you enjoyed this episode. This is Real Estate Guru PK signing out. How y'all doing? Welcome to another episode. I got a special guest. Got Odis with us. He got a bunch of rental properties.
I got property in Texas, South Carolina, Michigan, Missouri, California. And I'll probably just keep it in those areas. I'm looking in Atlanta and Georgia, that area. But yeah, man. I mean, but hey, there's people out there with a lot more property than me, though. So
I was told that you don't buy any properties over 35,000.
No, that's not the case. I look at where the math works, right? Okay. So I look at how much income a property can generate versus how much the property costs. So I live in San Mateo County in the Bay Area. So the average home price up there is $2.2 million. So even if let's say I find a tear down for $1 million, I'm still got to come in with 100 grand to add value to it, because the goal is to acquire it, make it worth more than it is, then take a loan out on that new value and pay off all the existing debt you used to get to that point. Well, if I got to come in with 100 grand to be able to do that, I can just go in another market, buy an apartment building cash for 100 grand, 5 or 6 units for 100 grand, no mortgage, no nothing. Don't have to worry about anything. So I think I go where the returns are. I don't care where it is. Yeah, 35,000. That $35,000 homes is going to go away pretty soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as long as the process works, as long as the math works, that's where I'm at.
You want to tell us like the backstory, like, you know, when you went bankrupt and then, you know, the recession and
yeah. So it wasn't really so the real estate debacle in 08, right? Everybody was getting these loans that eventually were going to start adjusting, and it was really easy to qualify. A lot of people were mismanaging that whole process. So you had that real estate debacle in 08 and I lost everything. So I had to go back, and I wasn't really into, I've been in real estate my whole life. I've been probably an investor. I'll say the last 5 to 7 years, though I was investing the last 15, 16, 17 years, but I wasn't trained, right? So I went and actually got formal real estate investor training, and then just blew my mind. I just started nerding out to the stuff, man, and just started teaching it, right? But you know, I lost everything in 2008. I'm going back on my parents' couch, and I have a reputation for being very generous. It really started back then. People didn't know. I just couldn't afford to store my furniture, so I had to give it away. It's just going to be on the street. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving all this stuff away to families that needed it and whatnot. And I had to go get a job at a newspaper plant for $10 an hour. This is in the Bay Area. This is after making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But you know, you something inside was like, look, you got to give God something to bless, man. And you could sit on that couch and do whatever it is you're going to do. Like $10 an hour, that's not even covering the cost to get to work. Right. And I couldn't even afford to get the boots. I could have asked my parents or somebody else or whatever, but I didn't have it in me to do that. But I knew that if I did that, something good was going to come out of it. So I went to work just for the sake of working. Right. And I was working 10 hours on the, so they used to, I don't know if they have the Sunday paper out anymore, but you know, them coupons that used to be in the Sunday paper. Mm-hmm. So my job was for 10 hours sitting in front of a machine and putting them coupons in that Sunday paper. Right. And man, I did it like they was paying me $100,000 a year to do it, because I knew something good was going to come out of it. And then ultimately, I got a call back from the multifamily industry, because I was leasing apartments back in 2001. Mm-hmm. I got introduced to that. So they called me back, and I got a job making $15 an hour leasing apartments. Right now, you can't live off that, but it's better than $10 an hour. Mm-hmm. And then I started getting commissions, and then started rising up the ranks, learning everything that I could. And then when I exited that industry, I was overseeing $600 million in multifamily real estate in Silicon Valley. So it was about 2,700 units. I was responsible for about 10,000 tenants. And yeah, man. So then I just started, investing in real estate heavy, just nerding out to it, started teaching it, always maintained my real estate license, became a real estate broker. I got a broker's license in multiple states. And that's what I'm doing now, man. I have a mentorship program. We take people from zero knowledge and they stay on with me in perpetuity, like just as long as I'm investing. So it's not a program you go through. Once you in, you may go through the curriculum, but once you're in, you in, right? Because my goal now is to turn 1,000 people into real estate investors before I have the next conversation to see how we're going to scale that up to 100,000.
Your dad is in real estate, correct?
Yeah. So he's a real estate broker. He's been a broker since 1971. So he's I think he's 50 years now this year, which is funny because he don't look like it. He's looking younger than he is. But, I was 3 years old. That's how we spent time. He took me out to real estate meetings and things like that. And back then it was old school, man. Like they used to talk for hours. Old folks used to talk for hours. And back then old was 35 years old. That's old. I was old back then. I used to sit up there, man. And, I used to be bored out of my mind. But, by 10 years old, I could have a real estate conversation with an adult. And it's interesting, you go through all these different things, these different jobs, and you take all these different losses and I'm doing all these different things, thinking that, I'm going through this major storm. Now, based on everything that I learned, you got to pay me $10,000 to teach that stuff to you, right? And it should be double that. I purposely keep it that low because I don't want to make it cost prohibitive for some people. So I actually use my real estate investing to supplement that business so I don't have to raise prices. But yeah, man, them experiences and them losses and losing everything in real estate, that stuff is valuable. Because when I was on my parents' couch, I didn't have the knowledge as a real estate investor. We're conditioned to believe if we don't have any money, we can't invest. If we don't have credit, we can't invest. That's not true. That stuff is a myth. So once I got to where I am now, I went back to that old Odis on the couch and I did a lesson, step-by-step lesson, as if I could hand it to him and say, this is how you get off that couch without having to go and get a regular job and all that. All right. And that lesson is what I give away to people that are in tough situations. Like, here, take this, go generate some income with it. You don't have to pay me. You generate some income. I ain't got to look for you. You'll come find me. So that's kind of the basis of how that came about.
We supposed to start like a recession soon, or we might be already in it, allegedly. We don't know. Somebody starting out right now, what advice would you give them how to start in real estate?
Get a mentor.
Get a mentor first.
Because, and the reason I say that is we have a finite amount of resources, right? Like however much money you have right now and however much money I have right now, we can only go so far with that, right? So I teach people how to acquire real estate with no money. So if based on the knowledge you have, you can only go so far with with that money, whether it's 5,000, 10,000, whatever. You may be able to buy a property in some part of the country for $10,000. You may fix it up. Maybe you can rent it out, right? That's not going to change your life. So I teach people how to purchase with your words and pay everybody out of your exit strategy so that it's not cost prohibitive and the price of the real estate no longer matters. It doesn't matter if it's a $2,000 property or $200 million property. You still got to come in with the same amount. So I would tell people, look, if you're serious about it, get a mentor. And if you're not serious about it, just stay on Google, follow me on these different platforms. I give away all the information for free, all of it. And I think everybody should. I think everybody that does what I do and all these gurus and all that, I think you should give all the information away for free. Because if you are who you say you are and you can generate income like you say you can, why are you stingy with the information? Oh, because you want somebody to pay you for the rest. Well, I need to see my people do better, and all my people can't pay me for that. If they could pay me, they wouldn't be doing bad in the first place. So I give away all the information for free, man. I tell people, look, get a mentor, but chase the free information too. I give lessons away for free. I spend about 5 hours a week on these platforms answering any question, right? That's something else I would say. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I do these conferences like this one I'm doing right now. I've flown perfect strangers out there. We did a conference there was a conference in New York that we did, and 41 people I paid to go to that conference. I didn't know one of them, right? Because there may have been some value that they could have got from that conference, and they'll take it back to their families and they'll improve the quality of life of their families. Or even if they don't do anything with it, maybe their perspective will change. And if their perspective changes, that could be the catalyst for everything else changing. So yeah, man, Like I'm about that. I'm about when I say, look, we need to do better. We need to be doing better. Now we are where we are for the most part, and I'm talking about people that look like me. Not that I'm excluding people that don't look like me, but we are where we are because of things that were done to us. Point blank. Period. It's not by happenstance. Every bad thing you can think of, like if I asked you right now, what's the worst thing you can do to a human being? Your mind's only even capable of coming up with so much evil. Worse than that has been done to us. All right. So the squeaky wheel needs to get the oil, right? So we got a lot of catching up to do. We got 400 years of catching up to do. So I'm going to make sure that we have the tools to be able to do it. Because if you don't own anything right now, man, you don't have a voice. That's it. You don't have a voice. If you don't own anything, you don't have a voice. We can march all day. I get it. That served a purpose, but this is a different time now, right? They don't care. This is the tool that we use, right? Problem is most of us have a poor people's mentality, and we need to heal from that. So, but that's a 5-hour conversation. I can get on that all day.
What's the importance of an LLC?
So the importance for me, and I'll share my experience, there's 3 things that I want when I do business. One, I want to be have the best position from a tax perspective, the best position from a liability perspective, and the best position with respect to anonymity. That means if you can find out anything that I own, then me or one of my people has failed. Right? So I use LLCs to separate myself from the general public, right? I'm not qualified to give advice on LLCs and corporate structure and all those things. I have tax attorneys and business advisors that do all that stuff for me. But basically it acts as another entity for me, and it just offers me protection. It helps me save on taxes, and it allows me. So I'm not doing this to see how much money I can make. I'm doing this for power and influence, because the reason anonymity is so important to me is because I want to be able to change environments without anybody knowing that I'm doing it. So 3 things. An LLC helps me get the best tax favor, right? The most liability protection, and anonymity if I structure it right. So yeah, that's the generic version.
Do you plan on getting politics?
No.
I can see you being like a mayor or something like that.
I don't trust politicians. I think politicians got us into this mess. And politicians don't run this country. People with money run this country. So if I get me enough money, I can own some politicians. Right? Yeah, I don't trust that whole, anytime you're in a position where you have to depend on what politicians are doing, you already lost. You think Jeff Bezos cares what politicians are doing? You think Bill Gates cares what politicians are doing? It's a whole different world, man. Whole different world. And we need to change it.
You talked about investing in securities and insurance.
Yeah.
How important is that?
So it's a 3-prong approach to wealth, right? Stocks, real estate, which is my area of expertise, and life insurance. Life insurance is a game that they don't really teach. They don't really teach people, right? So I can have a life insurance policy. Let's say I have $100,000 in a life insurance policy. It's gaining interest, right? I can borrow against that and buy another asset. Hopefully that other asset is also a cash flowing asset that's gaining in value. I could borrow against that asset and buy another asset, and I can borrow against that asset. So now I got all these different assets that are all gaining interest, and it just originated from me borrowing from my life insurance policy. I'm actually licensed in life insurance. I don't sell it. I don't do any of that stuff, but just so I can speak intelligently about it, I went ahead and got licensed. But it's just a powerful tool. A lot of people don't take it seriously. That is one of the most powerful tools the wealthy use. All right? You'll notice that you're required to have auto insurance. You're required to have health insurance. Why do you think they don't require you to have life insurance? That's the rich want to keep that to themselves. Anyway. That's another 5-hour conversation.
You talk about credit is what people think about you, like before you meet them. I thought that was pretty cool.
What you started talking about? What? How I feel about?
No, like people giving you credit, like that's that shows you the type of person you are if you have good credit or not, basically.
Oh, you're talking about credit, like when you go apply for a credit card?
Correct.
So your credit profile tells a lot about you and who you are. I can look at somebody's credit profile and know whether I want to do business with them, and I don't have to even see what the credit score is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what their habits are, right? Because how you manage your money is how you manage your business. Now, you can look at my credit profile and you won't see it on there anymore, but if you, a while ago, you would have seen a bankruptcy on there. You would have seen mortgages past due. You would have seen all types of things surrounding real estate and obligations not being paid, because all my income came from real estate. And when that real estate debacle happened, not only did I lose my tenants and lose my houses, I lost the ability to generate income to save it. So I think people should start taking their personal credit seriously, because when you start doing big business and you're about to do business with somebody, they'll vet you. They'll pull your credit and all that. They need your approval and social security number and all that. That is a myth. That's a myth, right? People are powerful enough. They'll pull all your information, right? So I make sure that my personal credit profile communicates the story that I want to project, right? And if people talking about business credit, how to get business credit? Well, what does your personal credit profile look like first?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody gonna be doing business with you with no business credit. I don't care if you got business credit or not. But I just think your personal credit profile is important. I think people should take it seriously.
What do you need? Like, what credit score you need to be at to be in real estate?
You don't even need credit to be in real estate. I formed an LLC I purchased my first 3 deals with that LLC. It was brand new. There was no credit. See, I use asset-based lending. They qualify you primarily based on the equity in the property or the income that it generates, depending on what loan product. It makes it more difficult. I got more access to capital because I have credit, but I don't need it. I can structure a deal on terms, which means I don't even have to get financing for it. I just need to find a property, negotiate a price, take control of the property, add value to it, take a loan against the new value, and then pay the seller out of that loan. And now I got the property, and it's a cash flowing property. Right? And that loan is going to be an asset-based loan. That means they're going to qualify me based on the income that property generates, not my personal credit profile. That's what I teach people how to do. I just get out of the mindset that you need credit to get started. Get started. It'll be a lot easier if you have credit. So while you're getting started, make sure you're looking at your credit and making steps to improve it, and stop spending money on things that don't add value.
Mm.
Why are you spending money on? This is funny. This is Houston. This is one of my jokes about Houston, right? These women out here love getting their rent paid. They're looking for somebody to get their rent paid. Okay. Not all of them. A large portion of them, right? Mm-hmm. There's some really great women out here that are not even in. I'm not talking about all women. I'm just talking about that one particular group. And so every time, we hang out, we socialize or whatever, and we'll be maybe a group of maybe 20 or 25 of us. Yeah. And when I could pick up on that energy real quick, right? Hey, you wanna get the next round? No, I don't actually, right? I don't know you like that. But I'll tell you what, something in me wanted to get that next round. So every time I want to do that, whatever that next round would cost is $100, $200, $300. I go on to E-Trade and I'll just buy stocks for that amount and be like, all right, well now I got to spend it twice if I'm gonna do that. Every time I go to dinner and people want to, we typically, it's food, right? I'll pick up the check. Mm-hmm. But when people want to do that and I want to pick up somebody else's check, because I pick up everybody's check. I'm not trying to be flashy. I just don't want, sometimes we go to dinner and people get invited at the last second, and I don't want somebody that doesn't have it to be embarrassed about, you know what I'm saying? So it's just easier and more comfortable to pick up the whole check. But every time I want to do something extra, I just open on my E-Trade and just buy some stocks for the amount that I would have spent. So if I spend it, that means now I got to do it twice. It hits a little different that way, right? So yeah, I forgot. I don't even know where I was going with that.
You're talking about the women in Houston.
The women in Houston, yeah. There's a certain mentality, man, and it's unfortunate when you hear me talk about we got to do some healing. It's everywhere, man, and it's a job to insulate yourself from that stuff. You got to set boundaries. Right?
Do you feel like there's more so women are like that more than in Houston or in the Bay?
Houston, because there's just more of it. It's the culture is different. People ain't flossing in the Bay because on the peninsula, everybody's a millionaire. And they would be flip flops and t-shirts. And there's this place, this hotel up there. I'm not going to mention it, but Thursday, it's in Menlo Park, right near Palo Alto. I bought this new Jag. This was years ago. Bought this new Jag. I went up in there and bro, I'm suited to a T, right? I thought I was just fresh to death. So I went in there and I saw this dude walked in before me and he looked at me. He seemed like a friendly dude, white dude, right? Mm-hmm. Walks in there. He's at the bar. I went down, sat next to him. And I'm just waiting for him to tell me how fresh I am, right? He was like, hey, man, that was a sharp car outside. And I was like, yeah, no, appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. I was like, yeah, this dude's kind of cool. He's cool because he's complimenting me, right? Everybody's cool. They compliment you. Yeah. So we were talking, man. And then, we were talking about 45 minutes. And he said, hey, man, I'm having this thing at the house next weekend. Why don't you come by? So I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm like, I really want to go to this dude's house. They have a 1-studio apartment. We all sitting up in there. So he gives me the directions. I go to this dude's house and there's no house there. There's just these big tall bushes. So I go back and back and back and forth. I'm like, this dude gave me some bad directions. Well, he's got to know where he lives. Mm-hmm. So I go one more time and I go to this opening in these big bushes just so I can call him. So I can get off the road and just call him. Two dudes walk out in the front. Dude walked out of the side out of nowhere. They were like, stop right here, right? I was like, oh, I didn't pull into a CIA black site, right? They go, roll the window down. So I roll the window down. Dude goes, Odis? And I wanted to be like, nah, I ain't Odis. My name was on my license plate like a dumbass. Bane. He's right this way. Go all the way up. We're going to open the gate. Go all the way up. There's a roundabout. Just park on the roundabout. Leave your keys in the car. I'm like, all right, cool. Man, I went up there and it was the dude from the bar. He comes out. He was like, you found it. I was like, bruh. And this thing looked like a compound. And he's just sitting up there. He was like, oh, yeah. No, I had a company. I sold my company and, made some smart investments. I never felt so small in my life. Like I had it wasn't even worth his time to drive a car like that. Like he was just on some other stuff. So Bay Area, man, it's different energy. But I learned a lot from him, right? I learned a lot with respect to, you don't have to, people that have it don't have to show it like that. Now we like nice things. Like I'm not saying don't buy nice things, but wait until you're rich to get it. Or let your cash flow and assets pay for it. Yeah. When you flashy like that, there's something inside you that says, I'm not good enough. There's something inside you where you believe you are not good enough just the way you are. And that has to do with the healing that you hear me bringing up again over and over. So I had to come to the conclusion like, I'm dope just the way I am. I don't need a Lamborghini. I don't need to get there that fast. If you're important enough, they'll wait for you. Right? Now, I like cars. I'm not saying that stuff is bad, but wait until you're in a position to get it the way you're supposed to. I think that's the number one lesson a lot of people need to understand.
Would you ever see yourself getting a private jet?
Yeah, absolutely. But not for the sake of having a private jet, just so I can
get there fast. Oh, you can work while you're on there.
Just so I can work on the plane and I don't have to go through, Customs, airports and all that stuff, just to save the time. But I have no problem, I flew coach over here. Well, kind of coach. So I'm not, if it allows me to be more productive, but it's not going to be the floss. Like I can see how a jet would make a lot of sense. I can't afford it right now though. So.
Oh, that's cool. I mean,
not this year.
Yeah, you get there.
4 years.
Can we talk about like your former jobs?
Yeah.
When you was like at Foot Locker.
I did. I worked at AT&T, Athletic Express. So I got out of the Navy, and then I went to work for Comcast, and we were the first techs in California to work on this new thing where you can get internet over the cable, right? It just, nobody had ever heard of that yet. We were still having to plug the phone line into the wall, right? You may not remember that. But
I remember.
So I did that, and then I went to Pacific Bell, which was the phone company, because they were coming out with this DSL, which was like broadband cable. And one day they came to me and they came to all of us. It was like, hey, we're doing a buyout right now because we're downsizing. If anybody quits, we'll give you $25,000 and we'll give you 2 weeks pay for every year that you've been there. I ain't never seen that kind of money, bro. He didn't even have to finish. I was like, I'm out, right? I didn't have another job. I had no plans. So and then I called HR and claimed exempt, so I didn't have to pay taxes on it.
Oh,
right?
for real?
Yeah. I had to pay taxes, but not on that check. I wanted to see all that money. So it was like $28,000, right? So as soon as I got it, I went and bought me a Nissan Altima. That was when everybody thought it was a GS, but it really wasn't a GS. It was a Nissan Altima. I took all the emblems off so nobody could see. I put a system in there, I put TVs in the headrest. 5 months later, I'm dead broke, right? So I got to go get a regular job. That's how I got into leasing apartments. I was like, how hard could that be?
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest is history, man. Just stayed in the multifamily industry, got my license, got my notary license, even though I don't do that anymore. Went into business with my dad. We had a mortgage company. We had a real estate company. And that was pretty much it for the most part, man. It was real estate from 2002 on. It was real estate. It was all real estate. And that newspaper plant in the middle for a couple months when things went bad. But outside of that, just real estate, man.
If you could like change anything in the past, would you, or you keep everything the same?
That's a tough question, man. I think if I could change something in the past, it wouldn't be with my professional life. I think it'd be with my personal life. Yeah. I'm divorced. And I was just a kid, man. I got with my ex-wife. I was 21 years old, and I put her through a lot. And I think I think I took a lot of time away from her that she could have used in another relationship and been happy, right? She can't get that time back. So I make sure today we've been split up for years, like 10 years or something. But she don't have to want for nothing. She calls me, boom, it's just I'll wire the funds. It ain't nothing. So I think my personal life, man, was always always something going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Real estate was always the one thing that I could do perfect. Like I could come back to that. You can't touch me. In my personal life, that's where all the struggle was, man. So yeah, I think that's the only thing. I think how I treated people is the only thing that I would change, because eventually you evolve into somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And me, spiritually, I had evolved really fast spiritually. And you still have to carry that with you, right? Even though you're not that person anymore. So I think that's the one thing that I would change out of everything. All the other stuff that I did, there's a lot of learning and growth that came from it. So I'd probably leave it there.
Okay. So you got married at 21?
I got married I got with her at 21. I got married in 2004.
4?
Yeah, so what's that? Was that 18 years ago? So what was I 18 years ago? 20-something, 28, man. I got married at 28, yeah.
Okay. It's not bad. I think I got married about the same time.
Yeah, man, that was tough for me, man. Marriage it's tough. I can't. I'm not your guy right now. Man. I just can't.
You see yourself getting married now or no?
I mean, not in, I don't think in the States, maybe in Africa somewhere. They always tell me, man, these sisters, they'll run that game. Look, when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. Yeah, but back then you could have 1,700 wives. So if I could just pick a new one every time I get bored of the old one, and concubines, I get it. Let's put it in perspective. I think that I'll get there. I think the right person, I'm not even going to get myself in trouble. They say the right person. I just haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Not that there's not good people. I'm just saying I'm married to my work. There's some things that I want to do first, and marriage is not, companionship is not. I got some big things that I'm trying to do.
Okay. What if like she came and just kept on bringing value and kept on bringing value? No.
I can hire people to bring all the value that I need. Yeah, there's nothing that a woman can do for me right now that I can't do for myself. And I'm not saying that to be cold or callous.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a fact. And so anytime someone tries to present an argument to the contrary, well, I can get that. I can get that without having to be married. I'm not against marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not in that space right now. Maybe I will be eventually, but it's hard to make an argument for it that especially when you have assets, right? That's a very one-sided
What if you got like a prenup?
I would do. I may consider it, but still, like, I love doing what I do, man. I love doing what I do, and my primary goal is to make sure that my kids have an empire, right? Because I didn't been broke.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't been broke, man. It ain't. Money is important because it's like trying to build a house with no nails. Right? The nail itself isn't that important, but what you use it for is. And I'm using mine to change people's lives, to create opportunities for people that wouldn't necessarily have them, to move us up all collectively. There's just so many things I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to, there's kids that I'm putting through college. There's organizations I support. There's people that I just, contribute to that. Like it's a lot, man. And a marriage is I can't put another human being first, because when you get married, your wife comes first. And I'm not ready to do that. And I got to be honest, I can't put somebody in that position with the expectation that they're going to be first when they're really not. So I said, maybe one day though.
How would you feel if are you against like your kids working or having a job, or you want them to be entrepreneurs like you?
No, I want them to be happy. That's the one thing I do not do is minimize a job. And these entrepreneurs that are minimizing having a job, well, what do you tell the people you hire? That's backwards. I learned some of my most valuable things from working a job. Work ethic, systems, processes, best practices. I work for the number one multifamily operator on the planet. And I take everything from that knowledge, scale it down, and I teach people basically what I learned. So I'm about being happy, man. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Sometimes this stuff sucks. Sometimes I wake up and second guess myself. Sometimes I wake up and look at, okay, did I give too much this year? There's all types of moving parts that are always moving and you never clock out. So I think, look, be happy first. If you got a job and you enjoy that job, then great, stay there. Like, I know entrepreneurs that are not happy. I know people that work a job that are not happy. I know entrepreneurs that are happy. I know people that work a job that are happy. Don't let these folks trick you into thinking that you can't have a meaningful and joyful life making $80,000 a year.
How you feel about women not wanting to date men that have 9-to-5s? They just want to date entrepreneurs.
I think those women got some healing to do. That's like, if you have that perspective, then you're an escort. Let's just call it what it is. And I'm not judging. Escorts need love too. You're not going to get love from here, right? But if you want to conduct yourself like an escort, don't get upset when you get treated like an escort. Okay. If you are with me for, like, let's go to the back, then women getting their rent paid, right? Yeah. Now, mind you, people on my dad's side, successful, high-ranking military, realtors and things like that. On my mom's side, they grew up in the projects, right? My mom she had a little money, but her brothers was always out. Her brothers was pimps. Oh, for real? Yeah, I think a couple of them were. That no one's gonna tell me that, but when I go, but I used to. When I grew up, that's when I knew what it was, right? So when these women are,
so this is like in the Mac Dre.
Oh, this is way before that. This is back in the day. Okay,
this is like
I'm 46. So we talking about in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, okay.
So, but I was a kid in the 80s, but I just thought they were all cool and funny, right? Yeah. But they gave me the game though. So when a woman, and I present myself very professionally in a certain way, right? So when you approach me and I have resources, they see me coming a mile away. They don't realize I done saw them coming from 2 miles away. Mm-hmm. So a woman comes up to me. So if a woman says, this has happened before. She's asked me, do you pay my rent? I mean, she didn't ask me like that, but she suggested it. And I had to be very clear with her. I'm not the one you want paying your rent. First of all, you live in Texas. What's your rent, $1,100? Mm-hmm. Okay. I would, if I paid your rent, in 2 weeks, you would be begging me to stop paying your rent, because what I will take from you spiritually, your self-esteem, the way you look at yourself, the impact on your self-portrait, you don't want me taking your rent, because I'm going to get every penny up out of that, right? And then nobody wins, right? God has a better plan for you than that. You're better than that. I'm better than that for taking advantage of it. So why even go there? But I'll tell you what, I'll teach you enough to where you'll never have to ask anybody else to pay your rent again. But they don't want to hear that. But I have fun with it, man. I have fun with it. I ain't paying nobody's rent though. What happens is they see me giving a lot of money away, and that rubs some people the wrong way. Well, you're giving all that money away to those people you don't even know, but you won't pay my rent? Hell no, I won't pay your rent, because I know you. And I know what it is. I don't pay escorts. Mm-hmm. You be an escort if you want with me. You'll be an intern escort. Ain't no payment coming from you.
How many rental properties you have exactly?
I never disclose that.
Oh, you never disclose that?
I never disclose that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and the reason is I pay a lot for anonymity. The only thing that I disclose, so I had a non-real estate related business that generated 7 figures. It cost me $585 to start that business. In 18 months, generated over $1 million. I didn't get to keep all that. The only thing that I'll let somebody see is the check stubs, because I saved them all. There's over 300 of them. Check stubs from that, just in case everybody tries to dispute it. I'll let them physically see it because there's some NDA stuff in there also. But I don't wear jewelry, right? This watch is under $1,000, right? This watch is only $800 or $900. There's diamonds in it, but they're real small, so it don't count, right? I don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody tried to call me on that one time.
We're on live?
Yeah, so I love these brothers, man. I think it was just all out of fun. But somebody was poking at me, and not all of them, but one person said they were flashing their closing statements for how much money they made that day. And it came to me, right? And when it came to me, I said, I always give people an out, right? Because they didn't have bad intentions. These aren't bad brothers. But I said, I don't flash I don't show my financials on social media. I just don't do that. I didn't want to get into a long conversation, but one of them kept going and said, well, some people on this platform, they say they got it. They ain't really got it. So I changed the conversation. I said, okay, well, I have a challenge now too. Go ahead and put a link at the top. This is a women's group. There was a woman that was facilitating it, and there's sponsorships. So let's see who can give the most. Let's see who can outgive, right? Because we're all flashing how much money we make. Let's see who can give the most. I'll start it off. Here's $5,000, right? Got quiet. You can hear a rat piss on cotton in there. And I'm not gonna say how it went after that, but
okay,
that pretty much wrapped it up. And I was ready to go a lot higher.
If
you say my name, it's either going to cost you. It's going to cost you something. It's either going to cost you financially or your social reputation. Because I don't bother anybody. I don't judge anybody. I try to do as much good as possible. And I got to thinking, well, other groups aren't flashing how much they make on stage. Why are we doing it? We're supposed to be having a conversation about putting ourselves in a better position. Plus, you got people listening that are in tough situations. They don't care how much money we made today. They care about how we can help them. That's why they're listening in the first place. So there's one thing about Odis that you'll see, right? I'm not playing out here, right? Other people can do what they want. And I'm not talking about these guys. These are really good guys. They add a lot of value. I love these guys. But I have an anger problem. And I'm too civilized to be physically aggressive because I got too much to lose. But if you get out of pocket, my attorneys will smack you in the face. Or I'm going to pull your card in front of everybody. Oh, you want to ball on me? All right. Let's pick a charity right now. Let's both give $50,000 right now to this charity. And if you can't do it, right? It's not about the money, man. And I try to get people, let's stop talking about how much money we have. Let's talk about how we're going to help somebody. Because if you want to bring it up and we're going to spend some money, I'm going to shift the conversation and we're going to spend it to help people. I sponsor this organization in Africa, these mentors doing great things in their 20s. They come back to their villages and teach young kids, right? And so I told them, any kid that wants to come in this program, you let me know, invoice me, I'll cover it. And I sent 3 of those mentors to school for a year. What I look like flashing money over here when I know that there's people over there that are trying to change this world, trying to do that with what little they have. So my mind is in a completely different space. So I stay out of a lot of conversations. I'm purposeful about being non-confrontational in certain environments. But if you come at me, it's going to be you're going to get all that because that's still in me. I want all the smoke, all of it. I don't care how big you are. I don't care if you're a billionaire. I don't care what it is. So it's easier just to work on our patience, be the bigger person. Anytime you achieve any level of success, you better be conditioned to be the bigger person because who you are on the inside will tear down that whole city, tear down all that. Right. And I'm trying to evolve into, right now it's a little harder, but I do it. If I didn't articulate this, you would never know. But my actions, I try to be the bigger person, man. I don't mind taking a loss but I had to get that point. I'm petty too, man. I'm petty.
Does your CPA get after you sometimes for Giving out so much money?
One thing anybody knows about me, if you're going to, the first time you speak against me giving, you're fired.
Have you fired any CPAs?
No.
Okay.
No.
They know better?
Yeah, they know. They know. And my CPAs they don't work for me. So I mean, they could lose me as a client, but I've had no issues with them. They're all really good. So, yeah, I'm not successful because I'm smart, man. I'm not successful. I didn't go to college. I mean, I went to junior college for a couple of years, but I'm as successful as I am because one, I was born into real estate, but that's the knowledge stuff, right? I'm successful because I give, right? There's two things that are going to make you successful: giving and forgiving. Those two things. If you can master those two things, you'll never want for anything else in your life. God gave us a power to gain wealth. He says that in Deuteronomy 8:18. He also says in Malachi 3:10, if we bring our storehouse or our tithing into the storehouse, he'll pour our blessings. We won't have room enough to receive. That's the only time in the Bible where he says, test me in this. Test me. And I studied the other religions and all these other things. No one's saying, test me. Okay, well, if you're going to say test me, then I can prove you wrong right now. That means if that's a lie, everything else got to be a lie. Jesus got to be a lie. The cross got to be a lie. All that got to be a lie. So give and forgive. You master those, and don't give to make yourself feel good. Give until it hurts a little bit.
How you feel about people like giving to like the homeless and they put it on camera or on video?
I think that I think that's okay.
That's okay.
I do think the Bible does say, hey, look, when you do it for showmanship, that showmanship is your reward. Right. So I think as long as people are giving, if that may inspire someone else to give. Right. And I don't judge, right? Like, it's like, hey, you're giving regardless of what you're doing. Like, there's these YouTube videos where they have the Instagram videos where they give just out of the blue and you see people's reaction. Mm-hmm. That's inspiring, man. That makes me want to give. So I think it's effective, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But your intentions, even a person with bad intentions, God can turn it around and do some good with it. So, you never know the heart of the person that's actually giving. But I love those videos, man. I'm learning to give more in secret. The problem is many times the need will be made known in a public forum. Mm-hmm. So it's like, but I do want to get better at that.
What do you see yourself like in 5 to 10 years?
In 5 to 10 years,
you're gonna buy up Houston?
No, man, I'm not. I have a number that I have in mind, and I'm not trying to be the richest person in the world because it takes hard work for the most part. I'm trying to be the happiest person in the world. And one of the things that bring me fulfillment is giving and different experiences. So I just want to live, man. Like, I think, I do want to change. I do want to have enough power and influence to improve communities, right? And change people's lives. That's going to go on and if I could, I would just do that. Real estate is just a means to get there.
It's like a crutch.
Well, I wouldn't say a crutch. It's more like a tool to be able to get there, right? So 5 to 10 years, man, I may walk out of here and get hit by a bus, right? You never know. Financially, I plan that far ahead, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing, man. I have no idea.
As long as your kids are happy.
As long as my kids are happy and I can still protect everybody under my umbrella, and I got to put more thought into that, man. I don't know. It's definitely not going to be the United States, though.
Oh, so you're going to like retire somewhere like in Puerto Rico or something?
I'll still have homes and stuff in the United States, but it's most likely going to be in Africa somewhere.
Africa?
Yeah.
That's where your heart is?
Yeah. I've only been there once, and I'm homesick. Right? It's just, it'll change your life, man. If you ever get a chance, I tell people go. I went to Senegal and Gambia. We're trying to get some development projects off the ground there. So I want to go back and see more in different places, but it's just a whole different. Western culture is so toxic. Mm-hmm. It's absurd. When you go and you see the difference, it's just absurd.
Like night and day.
It's like night and day, man. We're caught up on so much BS here. It's just, yeah. It'll change your perspective.
Okay. Yeah. I'll visit soon.
Yeah, man. Go.
All right, let me. I'm gonna run through these questions and I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
Marvel versus DC. Marvel or DC?
DC, man. Nobody's beating Superman. No one's beating Superman. Especially not Batman. Like you a dude with you just a regular dude. Like
No, because like people keep on saying Marvel, but like I grew up watching Batman, Superman.
Yeah.
So like I just and like the Super Friends and all that. So
yeah, I gotta go. I like Marvel movies better. Right?
yeah, I do
I'm an
too.
Iron Man fan.
I
bro.
do too.
I love Iron Man, but ain't nobody whooping Superman, bro. This man travels faster than a speeding bullet. You can't even get close enough. He got lasers that could just shoot you out his eyes for like. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go DC.
Go DC?
A fight, yeah.
Okay. Clubhouse or Instagram?
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Because you have to talk, and on Instagram you can just flash your butt and get 1,000 followers or your breasts or whatever it is. I'm on Instagram because I have to be, but I don't like it. It's toxic. Right? Clubhouse is. I'm eventually. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be on there, man. I know that there's always that person out there that I haven't reached that needs a break, and nobody's gonna give it to them without them paying. And so I stay on. That's what drives me to stay on it. So I'm gonna say Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Okay. LLC or S corp?
LLC taxed as an S corp.
Okay.
They different purposes. Yeah.
Okay. Tenant or regular tenant?
Wait, what was the question?
Tenant or regular tenant? I'm sorry. Section 8 or regular tenant?
I'm gonna go. Well, it depends. So regular tenant in some markets, Section 8 in other markets. Section 8 in markets where there's not a lot of activity and Section 8 pays nicely, there's still an element of the Section 8 folks that you got to deal with that's not favorable. But there's also good people on Section 8 that are not using it as a destination. They're just using it for what it was intended to pass through. So I'm gonna say Section 8. I get to help more people in Section 8. Yeah.
Okay. Airbnb or Pure Space?
Neither.
How come?
Pure Space, you're talking about the workings?
Yeah, where they come in, they just like an hour.
Oh, Pure Space, definitely. Airbnb, they're going to start Airbnb, and this is just my opinion. I have no data to support this, but Airbnb is not going. All these people getting into short-term rentals, it's not going to be what they think. Cities are going to start shutting a lot of that stuff down because now you've got people buying real estate just to be able to do short-term rentals in a country where there's a housing crisis. So if I own the real estate, definitely short-term rentals if you own it. But the arbitrage business model, I don't favor. I'm not saying it's bad. There's people that are doing really, really well in it. So I'm not speaking on the business model itself. It's just my preference is not to go that direction. Oh,
I forgot to ask you this. You were talking about realtors like basically be going extinct.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I wanted you to touch on that before I'm done with the questions.
Yeah, a realtor. It's going to come to a point where you don't need a realtor. You just don't. There'll be all the disclosures. Everything will be automated. I just see that's the direction, and I'm a realtor, so I'm not mad at that. Right? As a matter of fact, I'm just starting a real estate brokerage. I'm bringing my real estate brokerage back right now. Everything you see, James Street Financial, James Street Properties, James Street Capital, all those are my companies. So I get it, right? So it benefits me if realtors stay around. I think they'll be around a lot longer than they should be, but we're also one of the largest lobbyist groups in Washington. And because politicians can be bought, realtors going to be around for a minute, but they will eventually phase out.
Okay. Realtor or property manager?
For different purposes, right? As a realtor, the only client I represent is me. So I represent myself so I can get the commission off my own deals. Property manager, and I've been a property manager too, right? I was overseeing 2,700 units. Property manager is a necessary piece in a much larger puzzle, right? So if you're an investor and you own property manager, right? I don't need a realtor to buy real estate, but I do need a property manager to manage it, or else I have to do it myself, which costs me way too much in time.
Commercial building or house?
Commercial building all day.
All day.
Commercial, right. 5 units or above, or office space, whatever. There's just so many, it's so many more things that you can do with it. And the way that it's valued is completely different. I buy a house for $400,000 today, and the one next door sells for $200,000 tomorrow. What do you think happens to my value?
Goes down.
But if I got a 10-unit apartment building that's worth $500,000 today, and the 10-unit apartment building next door sells for $50,000, that doesn't change the value of mine at all. At least not directly. So I love commercial, man.
Wholesaling or flip?
Flipping. If you're wholesaling, so I have wholesalers, people that came into my mentorship program as wholesalers, and they, I just turn them into investors. You're doing the hardest part. You found the deal.
Yeah,
now you just assigning it to somebody else. And what you make off your assignment fee is earned income. So it's taxed at a higher rate. Like it's just, we were going to teach wholesaling in my mentorship program, but we call it a real estate family. I hate that word mentorship, but we just started turning people into investors, and now they're all investing. They don't want to do wholesale. I
tell people that's the hardest part, just getting the house. All you need is get the house.
Yeah. And it's a low cost barrier to entry. So it's cheap to start wholesaling, but it costs to be competitive in it because you're competing with people that are making 500, 600, 700 phone calls a day. And you're trying to make phone calls from your cell phone on your lunch break. It's not realistic.
Rental property or Airbnb?
Rental property all day.
All day.
Yeah. Because you can have an Airbnb. Well, you always have the option with rental property to turn it into Airbnb.
Yeah.
Right. But if you Airbnb and like you lease an apartment and Airbnb it out, that's all there is. They shut you down, you done.
It's over. Money or equity?
Money. Equity is only someone's opinion of what something is worth. I can't take equity into Wells Fargo and do anything but it. You get money, you can get equity. But if you have equity, that doesn't necessarily mean you can get money. You can't tap into it.
2 million followers or a rental property?
Rental property.
Rental property?
Yeah. 2 million followers is useless. I know people with millions of followers that are living check to check. Like it's useless. If I had 2 million followers, I would leverage that into income and then just to buy rental property. Right. But 2 million people just looking at me. I don't want 2 million people looking at me.
850 credit score or $1 million?
$1 million.
$1 million?
Yeah.
You don't know you could turn 850 into $1 million, or it's harder?
I could, but if I already have $1 million, I don't need to. I could turn $1 million into $10 million in 36 months. Conservatively. Yeah, $1 million. You got $1 million, bro. No one's looking at your credit if you got $1 million. Yeah, cash flow is king.
Appreciate you, man. That's my last question.
Right on, man. I appreciate you too, bro. Anytime. Appreciate you too.